All right, we're back for another episode of the Adversity Podcast. Real stories from real people. Josh is back in studio with me. What's up, man?
What's up, Mambo? How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Great to be back. Really loving this time change.
Yeah. Oh man, having that sun stay out later is it's a game changer. I mean, especially for your mental health and everything, and just time you get to spend with your family, right? I mean, it's pretty awesome having that out there.
Yeah, seeing the sun out a lot more. Outdoors events are starting to happen, and hopefully this rain stops now.
We thought it was going to stop, and then I think it was last night or the night before, it just came pouring down again.
Yeah, but hopefully it's gone, and we get to enjoy spring and then get into summer. And of course, we are going to continue to bring you some guests. Today's going to be a little different. Usually one of us knows the guest.
Yep.
Today, we're meeting the guest for the first time.
That's right, and it's his first podcast. So we have two firsts that are going on, and we're pretty excited about both of them.
All right, and your name is Garrett, correct?
Yeah, Garrett Pegler, yep.
And where are you from? Like, what business do you own?
So I own Ghost Shield paint protection film in Thousand Oaks. I grew up in Ventura County, Camarillo. Pretty much been here my whole life, and I started this business back in 2007, right out of college, and just been grinding ever since.
And where did you go to high school at?
I went to Rio Mesa for my freshman year, and then I wound up going to St. Bonaventure. Graduated from St. Bonnie.
St. Bonaventure, where's that at?
It's here in Ventura.
That's here in Ventura. So I'm not from Ventura, so it's always good for me, especially getting some of these local guests.
Right.
Because I'm still kind of a newbie, right?
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of learning a lot of the geographical layout of this really cool county.
Now, when you were going to high school, did you want your own business, or you were waiting to get out of school and?
Yeah, I had so many crazy jobs in high school, and that everybody has had, and I kind of always knew I would be doing my own thing. I've always been into cars. So I figured it'd be something in the car industry. And it was just one of those deals. I thought I was actually going to work for my dad when I got out of high school, and my dad said, "You know what? If you want to work for me, you're going to have to go to college," because I was never really a big school guy,
right.
And I think that was his way of seeing if I would actually do it, So,
what kind of business was it?
So he has an insurance business. He sells service contracts to new car dealers.
Oh, okay.
So pretty much any finance product that they sell has to go through an agent. So he has a lot of car dealer contacts, and he has a couple of agents that work for him. And, I figured that's what I'd be doing. And now fast forward, I get out of high school, and, I'm like, "All right, Pops, let's go." And he's like, "Nah, you got to go to college." So, I went to Ventura College for my undergrad, and then I got into UCSB, and then I did a short stint there. Didn't last very long. Wound up transferring back at Channel Islands and graduated from Channel Islands.
And from with your undergrad.
Yeah.
Now, what was it about UCSB that kind of brought you back?
That's a top 5 party school. I can tell you that.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I'm learning more every day.
Oh man, you've never been there for Halloween? Come on. So the deal was, my dad.
Are they accepting 44-year-old students?
So my dad, he said he would pay for my school, but he's like, "You know what, if you want to go to UCSB and live up there and party and be a knucklehead, you're going to have to pay for your room and board and everything else." So I wound up getting a job at FedEx, pretty much working full-time and trying to go to school, and found that wasn't very fun.
Yeah.
That wasn't the college experience I was looking for. So it was just, honestly, it was a lot easier just to go home and go to Channel Islands. So
did you feel at any point that your dad was trying to make it tougher for you? Like, he said, go to school.
100%.
Then you decided to go to school. Then he says, "Hey man, you got to get a job and pay for your own stuff."
100%. He knew I wasn't in school, so I think it was his way of. He just didn't think I would do it, And the ironic thing is, I graduate now from college, and we was going through a lawsuit with his business partner. So he's like, you know what, you got to figure out your own thing. Like,
wow.
Yeah, you got to figure this out. He goes,
Glad you did this, son.
Yeah.
But guess what?
Yeah. He's I'm glad I did it too, actually, the college thing. But
yeah, that's such, one of the things I tell the kids, cause I did it too. I got a degree from a small school in Tennessee and I wasn't a good student. We've talked about this before. I wasn't a good student. And
me neither.
But now that I did it, and my grandmother was the one that pushed me forward, right? Like, you got to go to school or else I'm not going to fund this thing anymore either, kind of deal. And I did it. And now I'm in my 40s, and it's something nobody can take away from me, right? Yeah. I mean, I'm actually proud to hang that. And I didn't graduate with a 4.0. Like, I got through like by the skin of my teeth kind of deal. Like, they're like, all right, Josh, you lucky bastard, here you go, So I think that's very important for people that are in that place where maybe college isn't for them kind of deal. But when you're 18 to 25, that window, that only comes once in your life where you really have that limited amount of responsibility. And I really just want to encourage people that if you're in that space, I know people that are in their 30s that are going back to college, and I know people that are in their 40s. My grandmother did it in her 60s. Yeah. And it's just, it's never too late. But when you're in that window, in that space, which is kind of where a lot of our listeners are at, I recommend that you knock it out. You just buckle up. Yeah. You do it. Don't put yourself on the stress of getting out in 4 years. Just put yourself on the commitment that I'm going to knock out a little bit every semester and get it done. Because then you're our age, then you look back and you go, man, that was badass. Yeah. And then I completed something, a big something, and nobody can take that from me.
Yep, exactly.
Now, fast forward to when you opened up your business. Yep. How much did you appreciate going to school when that came into play?
When you start a business, and I didn't even go to business school. My degree is in sociology and psychology. Right.
Wow.
So, so
there's a conversation right there.
Well, it's so funny is I didn't think I'd ever use it, and honestly, I use it every day with my employees, with my customers, the psychology, sociology, the things. It just, you don't think about it at the time. You're just like, I got to grind through this. I got to get, because this is what I'm told I got to do, right? But I actually do use it. And it was a good thing for me. School's not for everybody, but it was a good thing for me. And it, like you said, it really teaches you to, set a goal and finish it. Yeah. Where I see just a lot of, younger guys these days, they may have a goal, they don't finish it. I see a lot of that, and so I think that was, the biggest thing for me that I learned for going through school.
And how valuable do you think that's been for you, especially? When did you open your business? You said you've had it for
2007. So
you opened it right before the first recession, right?
Yeah.
And then you go through the pandemic. And what's crazy about your business is, I know this because I was in the car business back then, and I, just sold my store, so I'm retired, which is great. One of the things is those were two of the toughest seasons for car dealers, and which really impacted the products, right? Yeah. And when the volume goes down, the volume of product goes down. And to be able to survive through that, I'm curious to kind of hear how having that resolve of I completed that, right? Something you didn't really think you could complete, kind of drove you through to be now you're 25 years. You've been through two of the most major economic collapses that our country's been through, and you're still here to talk about it.
Yeah.
And you said your story wasn't interesting.
Right. Right. That's all my good, clean living.
So kind of unpack that, like how that drove you and that motivated you to kind of drive into some of those difficult times that you had to pursue through.
Yeah. I mean, I guess going back from the first recession, I mean, that was honestly the make or break of my business at that point. I mean, I started this business out of my dad's garage. So I ran the business out of a one-bay garage for 2 years. So my first employee, he'd show up to my parents' house in the morning. He's taking his morning bathroom in my parents' bathroom. You know what I mean? Like that, it was like that for a year.
That's wild.
And the first recession came, and I had already invested a lot of time in training this individual at the time to learn how to do, to put on the paint protection film and everything that we do. So I didn't want to lose him, because we obviously got very slow. I mean, we were going down to almost one car a week.
Wow.
Which, so I had to float him along. And I said, hey, if you stick it out with me through this, it's going to be tough. But I'll make it worth your while, once we get out of this thing. And he did. He stayed, and things slowly started getting better. I learned from that, because at that time I was 100% working with car dealers, selling the product through finance. I had no retail business. I didn't even have a retail location. It was, we would get everything prepped at the house, and then we'd load the car up and we'd go to the dealer. So when the pandemic happened, 100% of my business was controlled by what was happening in the car dealers. So I learned I have to diversify. I can't ever let that happen again.
Right.
So that was when I decided, I'm going to get a retail location. I'm still going to do business with the car dealers. And I'm going to expand to some other products, and then we started doing the window tinting and vinyl and ceramic coating and things like that. So, that's, again, what kind of got us growing. And then now we come into this pandemic, which that was a whole nother craziness. Is, I'll never forget it. I come in the morning, it was a regular day, and we were slowing down, and a Ventura sheriff comes pulling up to the front, and I'm like, what the heck's going on there, And he comes in and he's like, hey, I'm sorry to tell you this, but, you have to close down. You have to close down. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, well, we were dispatched out here by Thousand Oaks, city of Thousand Oaks, and they deemed your business as non-essential. And I was like, what? Like, are you guys just driving around, like, doing this? And they're like, no, somebody in the area or something had complained that we were conducting business. And it's funny how things work out, right? So at that time, we had a vehicle in our shop that I was donating for the Ron Helas Foundation, where, if I don't know if you know the Ron Helas.
No,
okay.
Tell us about that.
There was the borderline shooting. Did you hear about
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Sergeant Ron Helas was the officer who died in that shooting.
Okay.
And so the Ventura Sheriff's Foundation is based on him. So Rusnak of Thousand Oaks, at the time of the pandemic, said, listen, let's do something positive for the community, and we want to take a brand new Porsche and do a tribute car for Sergeant Ron Helas. So the idea was to turn this black, brand new 911, kind of turn it into a quasi-police car, put his name on it, and, just really make it look cool, take it to community events and things like that. So the car was in my shop because I was doing all the work, to it. So when the sheriff came in, tell me that, I said, okay, so I said, hey, you know what? Let me show you something that I'm working on. And obviously I did all that for free. We were, donating that. And so he comes back and he's looking at it, and he had heard about the project, but he was the first to see it. No one had seen it. It wasn't even released yet. And, I could tell he kind of was holding back. He was kind of welling up a little bit, and he's like, I worked under him,
Wow.
And I said, oh yeah, man, it's a tough thing for our community to, to get through, but I think this is a positive thing to do. The pandemic is, screwing everybody up. This is just a good thing. And, so he kind of looked at me and he goes, you know what? He goes, I won't be back here.
Oh, wow.
And that's all he said. And I kind of knew at that point what that meant. And I kept going, and they never came back. And,
that's wild, man.
And we got through that. So,
man, the timing of all that, man.
God, that couldn't have been better timing.
Yeah. Everything happens for a reason.
And let's say that car wasn't there, like what?
I know. Well, how could I have got out of that one?
Yeah.
Right. Because they would have come back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I think at one point we had a breakout on the showroom. We had to shut our whole showroom down. And I was like you, I was just like, all right, I got to figure something out. I put tables outside, and the showroom was outside on our patio underneath our pavilion. And we were selling cars, doing all the finance paperwork out there, selling not your product, but selling products. Yep. You know, if I'd have known, I would have sold your product.
Of course.
Yeah, a lot of people got creative during the pandemic. But how much did it take for you to start getting back to normal after the pandemic? And some people are still trying to get back to what normal was.
You know, it's just the last 3 years for us has been obviously crazy, like it has been for most. But we've just been busy, like extremely busy, which I'm very fortunate for because a lot of companies weren't. Right. So it's just been balls to the wall through this whole thing, and you know, just having to follow these guidelines. You know, they made us make this handbook. You know, the city came in and we had to. Did you guys have to do that? Where you had to? Yeah, the city came in and you had to get like certified. You know.
Yeah, we had to do all kinds of stuff. We had to put stuff all over the doors, all over the floors.
Yep.
You're only allowed so many employees in the building. You're only allowed so many people total in the building, and it was wild, man.
It was tough too because you're trying to conduct a regular business and do all this stuff on the side to try to get it done, having stickers printed, you know, for the floors.
And the guidelines would change every 6 months, if that, sometimes 6 weeks. It was like, okay, this is what we weren't going to do.
And everything costs money. So
everything. And you got to train your employees to follow these guidelines. And then 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, it was, no, we're going to do it this way. And it was chaos.
I don't know about you, but I never really got a notification that like it was over. It was just kind of over. Just all of a sudden, things just started disappearing. Right? Stickers started coming off the floors, and I guess we didn't have to do this anymore. So
it was that. I think when they started where we didn't have to wear masks inside. Yeah, I think that was the last one I started. After that, I stopped paying attention to anything. Right? Because once the masks were such a big deal in California, that once Newsom was like, "All right, you can take those off your face," it was like, oh, thank God, this thing is over. Yeah. It's over. So, so you're kind of in a place, and what I think was great about your business too is during the pandemic, what a lot of dealers did was addendums, right? Because we didn't have any volume. So we wouldn't sell the car unless you paid for the addendum. And then a lot of dealers were doing addendums plus $3,000, $5,000, $6,000 over the sticker price. So there was this. I mean, there were cars that were selling for $30,000 and $40,000 over a sticker. It's just, and there's some of them that still are, like those Dodge TRXs and just the Trackhawks and different things like that. Those Z06 specialty cars, the Z06. I mean, the Hummer, the new electric Hummer, all of those. The new electric Hummer is actually selling for about $100,000 over sticker. It's crazy, but a lot of that is just supply and demand because these manufacturers couldn't build a whole bunch of these cars because of the chip shortage. And then the dealers that were getting them were loading all these accessories on them. And then they were marking them up over sticker because they knew they weren't getting another one.
Right. Yep.
I mean, if you were getting 10 of them, I could sell them all to you at MSRP or to negotiate or whatever because I knew I was getting allocated 10 over the year. I had this much profit in those 10, and that's what I was going to get. But I'm getting one. Yeah. Whoever's getting this one's paying for it, right? Like, I mean, I'm going to get my money out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Antelope Valley Chevrolet is a big customer of ours, and every Corvette, doesn't matter if it's the C8 or Z06, gets our full front end package. So they send it on a trailer down to us. They put a addition of about $3,500, and customer has no choice. They want that car. They're paying for
That's
that.
what it has, yeah.
So a lot of people probably listening to us, this will be really beneficial to them, honestly, because a lot of times you go into a car dealership and you think these addendums are they're just on there for profit, but they're really not. The good, like my dealership that I had and the store that I worked at for 17 years before this one, the reason we would put certain things on there is because they were actually beneficial. Now, kind of talk about Ghost Shield, and because there are a lot of benefits to putting this on your car, especially in California, kind of talk to our guests who are also consumers of why when you go to buy a car, even if you buy it off of Craigslist, right? Mm-hmm. Why it's important to have your product on that car.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the main purpose of the product is paint protection, is generally to protect the front end or the door edge guards from rock chips. And it's become more of an issue, more recently, I guess, just for EPA reasons and things like that. The paints on these vehicles are just not what they used to be. And that's not brand specific. It doesn't really matter if it's a Ferrari or a Honda. These paints are just not what they used to be. So our roads in Southern California are not the best, right? So what we tell our customers is, our products, it's not a matter of when you get a rock chip, or it's not a matter if you get a rock chip, it's when you get a rock chip. So there's a lot of products you can get, in finance that, insurance products that, if this happens or if that happens, we all know that rock chips happen kind of thing. And depending on the value of the vehicle, which everything's going up these days, that can depreciate the trade-in value of the car when you go to sell it. And then on the exotic car side, it could be up to a 20% hit if there's minor paint damage on the vehicle. So to have a protection, product on there, it really does make sense. And it's one of those things. It's like once you have it on your car and you experience something, whether it's hitting something minor, like a piece of tire or something on the freeway, and it's on there and it saved the paint, which I have 1,000 stories like that, then you're kind of sold for life. But again, it's not for everybody, not everybody cares about their paint, so.
I care about my paint.
Yeah.
I've got a Hummer I just bought. Me and you're gonna need to have a conversation about.
Well, all right. All right.
I actually got a wrap on my car because I always like the what is it, the matte black look. Yep. And I thought someone had a paint job, and then when they told me what they did to it, I was like, huh. When I have the money, I'm gonna do that to it.
Right.
But during the pandemic, you said that we've talked about how a lot of businesses had struggled, but I think during the pandemic is when I did it because I wasn't going nowhere, so I could drop off my car and just leave it, and who cares when I get it back?
Right.
But I was happy with it, and I've noticed when you were talking about the chips and everything, like I've had it for a long time where I'm noticing like the little things that would have been scratches on the car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt.
It works.
It does.
I mean, it definitely is, especially if you got, some of these older cars that are, they're classics, and because like the wraps, you can actually peel it off the car, right? If you sell it or anything like that, and kind of keep all your original paint and all that stuff on there, which is really important for a lot of the older cars.
Yeah.
It's a great product. I've been a firm believer in it forever. I mean, as long as I've been in the business. And so I think it's cool that you put in all that time, and there's probably more stories of things that you've had to overcome, but you built up such a great relationship that when the pandemic hit, other businesses were able to lean on your services, right? So that they could survive. And in return, you were able to thrive during a time when a lot of businesses were going under. And I just think that speaks volumes to kind of what we were talking about. You had that ability where you knew you could complete something, right? Right. So when this deal came, there's this resolve in you that I can either go down with it or I can just stand up and walk through it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. That's, I guess, that entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah.
It's even like, this month we've kind of slowed down a little bit. The guys are kind of getting a little weary or whatever. And I was like, just relax, man. You got this. So I told them I'm dialing for dollars. I've been this week, man. I've been working real hard. Got a couple cars in there, and so I don't really know what's going on lately, but maybe we're seeing things slowing down a little bit, and I'm sure we'll get through that too.
Ebbs and flows, baby. Ebbs and flows.
It's funny on social media these days. It's like you see all these car wraps, and you see, and I follow a lot of companies similar to mine, around the country, and I see all the money they've been spending, because they've all been busy too, during this, and especially on the Highline stuff, because like you were saying, you had nothing to do, you're sitting around, and if you got money, and let's go spend it on our cars, right?
Right.
And it's like I was kind of just been doing the opposite, just kind of been tucking it away,
Smart.
because it's like, you invest in these people, that work for you, and it's like, I'm not just gonna, most businesses, big corporations, things like that, they slow down. The first thing they do is they chop their payroll and, get a lot of employees out of there. The small businesses, it's, the employees are the heartbeat. Are the heartbeat of the company. So, I really, letting people go is like the last thing that I'm going to do. And I'm going to just make sure whatever I have to do to, not let anybody go, just keep going and, whatever I have to sell, I'm going to sell.
Now, before you opened up the business, fast forward to now, did you think you would still be in the same business?
No.
That's a great question.
Because you said you started in your dad's garage.
Yeah.
And it was what, 2 years that you said?
Yeah. We worked out of there for 2 years. And again, it was just car dealers. So, when a company like this is working with a car dealer, you're working at a wholesale price.
Right.
So you're making a lot less money as it is. I wasn't making crazy money, and what I was making, I was investing back in the business, and it was hard work. I mean, we were just driving, and 6-7 days a week. It was tough. But no, I didn't think. I didn't think it would go. I really, I guess the whole retail side, I just never really thought about until that.
So what year was it that you popped up the retail store? Probably 2011, 2010, somewhere in there?
Yeah, coming out of 2010. I remember I had a Ferrari come to my dad's house, because I had done another car for that customer through the dealership, and he met me or whatever, and he got my contact, so he came direct on that car, and he was pulling it up into the driveway, and the bottom of the bumper scraped, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to be good, and it was, I think, at that point where I was like, I can't have these cars coming to my dad's house. I gotta get it.
It's kind of cool though. Like, hey Dad, look, I got another Ferrari coming in your driveway.
But he's a car guy too. He didn't mind, but it's like, I had to get out of there. So
Dad's out there with his coffee in the morning.
Right? Yeah.
It's a nice one, son.
Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, but that, I mean, is nice that you're sharing that story, because some people that have a business wonder, like, am I at the right place for what I'm doing? I mean, you did it at your dad's house in his garage for 2 years, until you opened up. And if anyone out there listening wondering, like, I've been working out of my friend's garage or working out of my garage, like, stick to it. Like, it'll turn into something.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of naysayers, things like that, and it's, you got to like what you did. I've always liked what I did.
Yeah.
I think that is a big part of it. That gets you through those terrible days that you're gonna have, and like you said, you just got to stick through.
One of the reasons I asked you that is because I've always loved DJing, and I turned that into my career. Growing up, like, my parents used to tell me, like, how long are you going to do that for? Like, get a real job.
Right.
So the other day I was just thinking about it, like, shit, it's been like since the late 80s when they used to tell me that. And now this is taking care of my family. And, I raised my kids by doing what they said. Hey, get a real job. So sharing that is like, if it's something you love, stick to it.
Well, yeah, and it was for me in the beginning, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do this, to make lots of money, because there was no money in the beginning. It was like, I remember people asking me, like, what do you do for a living? I put stickers on cars. It's like, how are you going to make a living doing that? Like, you know what I mean?
See that guy driving around with all his political stickers?
Yeah,
That's me.
I put fancy stickers on cars, but those guys aren't saying that anymore. They're not saying I put stickers on cars, so. But yeah, no, like you said, my shop manager, he's actually big into making music, and I got him so busy, he hasn't had a lot of time to do that, and I'm kind of constantly on him because I don't want him to. That's his passion. He needs to keep going on it. I mean, I don't want to lose him as my shop manager. He's a great shop manager, but hey, if you're meant to do that, man, and don't stop doing it. Like, you got to keep going.
So is the guy that was with you for the first 2 years, is he still with you?
No, he has a shop about 200 yards from mine.
Oh.
Well, you've heard that story 100 times.
Right?
He trained the guy up. But hey, I'm still here. I'm okay.
That's good. Yeah. Now you got kind of a tree, right? Like
that's
your own little coaching tree.
Honestly, half of Ventura County, if they do some sort of clear ball, what we do, I've trained. So
really?
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. That's impressive, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you saying that about your other employee that's into music. That's one thing I like about what you said about small businesses is like you wouldn't get a corporation dude saying that to to one of its employees.
No. It's like focus, bro.
Yeah.
Is that music paying the bills?
Yeah, exactly. How's that benefiting me?
Yeah. Is that paying into your 401k? I don't think so, sir.
And that's why I always say, in my other job, my regular job, radio, is like I always like to spotlight local small businesses because again, the story that you shared, you're not going to get it from a big corporation.
Yeah.
No, you're really not.
So what's next for your business? Like what?
I'm getting older, and the clear bra as an installer, it is fairly hard on your body, and it's just something I know that long term I couldn't do, and I haven't been installing as much these days, but I'm actually in the process. We're working on branding my own film and private labeling that and selling my own film, because honestly recently I haven't been real happy with what I'm seeing at the manufacturing level. These companies have, prices have skyrocketed. I've had 4 increases in the last 3 years to the tune of almost 25%. I did my own homework. I find out what these products are really costing and things like that. And, what it's turning into is they're big marketing companies is what they are, and, charging way too much for their products, and I just don't feel that for what they're charging that we're getting the benefit. The service isn't really great. It's like if I'm spending, let's say, $1,500 on a roll of film, right? What am I getting from the manufacturer? Like, what sort of help am I getting, like, to grow my business? Like, how are they helping me? If I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on their products, they might send, buy us lunch once a year or something like that. So I was like, I think, I have a lot to offer other companies like mine to grow their businesses. And I'm going to try to do that through, selling them my film. And what sets me differently than these other manufacturers is I'm not just trying to sell you a roll of film. I could help you grow your business. I could help you with installation. I could help you with, employees. I could actually be a benefit to your company versus just be your provider kind of thing. So that's kind of, I've sourced our material. I've been testing for about 1.5 years, a couple of different ones, and I've pinned down, I think, the one that I'm going to use. And so I've been working on, boxing and all that stuff. That's cool. And so it's kind of going to be a whole nother, endeavor, and we'll see where that goes. But,
that's definitely next level.
That is
what I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I had asked for like the I don't know if you remember in the lowrider scene, the candy paint jobs.
Yeah.
And I had asked for a wrap with that, and they kept telling me like, oh, there's some, but they're not good. So you saying that, like, and doing the work, like, you know what you're looking for.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's once you dig through all the stuff, you find there's only really maybe 2 or 3 manufacturers that make it anyways.
Yeah.
So, but there's 50 or 60 companies repping the stuff. So again, it just turns out to these are great marketing companies, and I would probably be a marketing company as well, but like I said, I can offer things, and then I would also do a warranty, that these other manufacturers can't do. I'd offer a paint warranty.
A paint warranty on it.
Yeah, which would be different.
I think that's another key piece right there too. As for our listeners, is that just like you said, the testing's taken 1.5 years and you're still in the process, right? Is that when you want something like that, things take time. As we're so used to this overnight success, these Insta stories, right, where we're just instantly, we've got what we were going for figured out and it's done. And that's just not the case. I mean, it takes time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the big things for me is obviously the clarity, quality of the material as the end result. Installation, how does it install? Do my guys like it? Are they screaming that this stuff is terrible and it's making a bad day for them, kind of thing? So that's real important. But what I can't simulate is UV. And I've reached out to several labs to, I said, hey, I need you to simulate 10 years of sun on, this product. And a couple of these companies hit me back. Oh yeah, we could do that. It's $15,000, and it's still going to take 1.5 years to do because they put it under some sort of a accelerated ultraviolet light to simulate it being outside, because that's, for me to offer a warranty, I really need to know how long this stuff's going to last. Right. And the only way I can do that at this point is I have it on all, a lot of my personal stuff. I have panels sitting up on my roof, like testing it basically. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at on it.
So you can't wait 10 years.
Unfortunately, I can't wait 10 years. No.
That's cool, man. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that's a really key insight behind the curtain for a lot of people when they're thinking about starting a business is looking at all the angles. And one of those angles has to be, how much time is this going to take? Do I have the resources to survive that amount of time? Do I have the skill set to do a lot of the research and things I need to do to knock it out, right? And I think a lot of that goes back to, I completed something from the time I was 18 to 23 years old. For me, it was 18 to 24. I was on the Van Wilder program, but I completed it, right? Mm-hmm. So when all these things would come my way, and I'm sure there's been plenty of times where you've looked at this and go, you know what, screw this. I don't want to deal with this anymore. This is a headache. It's a pain in my tail. It's taking up so much time. It's robbing me from my family. It's robbing me from work. It's robbing me. But then something clicks, and it's like a good golf shot, right?
Oh yeah.
It brings you back for one more round, and then that one more round brings you back and that's all you need. You just need that one good golf shot every time to keep bringing you back.
Yeah, yeah. And again, the having my own branded film, for me, it seems like a no-brainer. The next step, kind of thing. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
I think it's a game changer.
Yeah. Well, we know when Josh starts talking about golf, it's time to wrap up. So
yes, that is my next venture. Go chase a little white ball down the fairway.
Yeah, but Garrett, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and sharing your story. And we'd love to have you back once the film you get that going. I'm pretty excited to see what that turns into.
Yeah, right on. Thanks
the next podcast we do with you, we'll do it at your shop.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one right there.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, man. So thank you so much. And thank you guys so much for checking out the podcast. Adversity Podcast, real stories with real people.
Peace.